This is Krishna reminding me that he's in control. For 16.
It's 10-14.
Yeah. It's 1-14. Yep, got it. Okay.
10th canto, 10-14.
10-14. Yeah, got it. Okay. Whew. Hare Krishna. All right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashta Praye Sabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today we're continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 2, Text 14. Okay, Sandishtaivam Bhagavata Tatati Yomiti Tarvacha Pratigrahya Parikramya Gamgata Tata Karot. And translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yoga Maya immediately agreed. With the Vedic mantra Om, she confirmed that she would do what he asked. Thus, having accepted the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she circumambulated him and started for the place on earth known as Nanda Gokula. There she did everything just as she had been told. Purport. After receiving the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yoga Maya twice confirmed her acceptance by saying, "Yes, sir, I shall do as you order," and then saying Om. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur comments that Om signifies Vedic confirmation. Thus, Yoga Maya very faithfully received the Lord's order as a Vedic injunction. It is a fact that whatever is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a Vedic injunction, and that no one should neglect. In Vedic injunctions, there are no mistakes, illusions, cheating, or imperfection. Unless one understands the authority of the Vedic version, there is no purpose in quoting Shastra. No one should violate the Vedic instructions. Rather, one should strictly execute the orders given in the Vedas. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Tasmat Shastram Pramanante Karya Vyavashtitau Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartunami Harhashi. One should understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that one may gradually be elevated. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimata Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patita Nam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so here we are. I'm seeking, oh, my friend Raja Lila is here. I'm seeking your blessings. Please, dear devotees, please bless me that I may say something useful for myself. I need all the help I can get. Okay, so All right, so where we are with this is that I'll just read the verse again. Thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya immediately agreed the Vedic mantra with the Vedic mantra Om. She confirmed that she would do what he asked. Thus, having accepted the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she circumambulated him and started for the place on earth known as Nanda Gokula. There she did everything just as she had been told. So up to this point, Yogamaya has been given instructions. She's been given the instruction to go to Vraja, to transfer Sankarshana from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, and she's been instructed to appear as the daughter, the child of Yashoda. So her response is, sure, no big deal. I do things like this all the time. This is what I do. But she immediately agrees. And one of the things to notice in this verse is that it's giving us an example of how to be of service, how to execute an order. Because when we can remember that our role is of dasa, anudasa, servant of the servant of the servant, then there's an impact on how I carry out an order, rather than, the false ego, my false ego saying, people just need to stop asking me to do things. This is not Yogamaya's attitude. This is not her mood. And so we can take an example. How do I follow an order? I remember when I was growing up, my mother would give us an instruction, and we were taught to always say, yes, mom, or yes, dad. And it was confirmation that I heard you. I heard what you said. And you couldn't walk away without responding. That was a no-no. That was just not what was taught. And then you had to follow through with the instruction, whatever that was. And so here we are. And the question is, where am I in this? There are instructions that have been given to us, and is, even practical, simple things, whether this is in any area of our life where there's some duty to be performed. What is my response? Is it, oh, Prabhu, that's not my seva, but I know who it belongs to. They're right over there. I saw them. Or, oh, my boundaries, And Yogamaya is glorified by Krishna as worshipable and all auspicious. And her response is, yes, sir. So I'd like to start off by establishing that to follow an order doesn't mean that we're not discerning, and that we don't know how to properly take care of ourselves, and that we don't have boundaries. But we carry out our duties in a way that won't cause us harm or someone else harm or disturbance. So for example, if one is a doctor and they're helping people, but their family life and home is completely neglected, then it may require some evaluation. So we're going to assume that we're in a place where we know when to say no, when to go above and beyond, and when to do the needful rather than what is comfortable. And so with this verse, I wanted to explore a couple of things. One, what is obedience? What does it mean to be obedient? What is a Vedic injunction? And what does it mean for us to follow a Vedic injunction? So obedience, immediately when I hear that word, there's so much attached to it for me. I immediately get a little defensive. I don't particularly like the word. It just reminds me of someone telling you to do things that you don't really want to do. But that's just how I perceive it. That may not be, everyone's perception of that word. But if we go to the word obey comes, it's a very old word, and it means to carry out the commands or to submit to a command or a rule. And then that comes from the old French obéir, which means to obey, to be obedient, to do one's duty. And then we trace it even further back to the Latin obedire or oboedire, to obey, to be subject to serve, to pay attention to, and to give ear. The word literally means listen to. The ob means to, or in the direction of, or near, as in I'm going to the store in the direction of. And audire, which means to listen and to hear. And there's a root in audire, au, which means to perceive. And then from here, I'm imagining, I think it's a reasonable follow through, that this is where we get words from oral, like oral perception, or reception, sorry, oral reception, which Srila Prabhupada uses a lot. So what does Srila Prabhupada say about hearing? I just found that fascinating. To be obedient, to obey, means to hear. And it reminded me of my mother saying, "Did you hear me?" "Yes, I did. I heard you." So Srila Prabhupada says the Vedas are not compilation of human knowledge, right? We're talking, he mentioned in the purport, we're talking about Vedic instruction here. And another name for the Vedas is Shruti. Shruti refers to knowledge which is acquired by hearing. And then he says Vedic knowledge is called Shabda Pramana. This word was also used in the verse he quoted from the Bhagavad Gita. Pramana is evidence and Shabda is sound. So sound by evidence. This is how we get our knowledge, because the sound is coming to us from an authorized source. For example, the spiritual master. So another name is Shruti. Shruti means that knowledge, Shruti means that this knowledge has to be received simply by oral reception. There's that word. The Vedas instruct that in order to understand transcendental knowledge, we have to hear from the authority. Okay, so what is this authority about? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "I'm in everyone's heart. From me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas," and we're tying that to Vedic instruction, "I am to be known." So the Vedas, when we hear, we know Krishna. "Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas." So this is why we obey Vedic instructions. Okay, so what is a Vedic or injunction? What is a Vedic injunction? It's a what to do and a what not to do. And so we came up with this word, karyanta, the last time that I was here with you, and it was what not to do. So this word is used again, karya karyanta. Karya, to do, and akarya, not to do. And so in the purport, he says, whatever is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Vedic injunction that no one should neglect. And in Vedic injunctions, there are no mistakes, illusions, cheating, or imperfection. So we're imperfect. Our senses are imperfect. How we receive things sometimes is imperfect, but this Vedic knowledge is not imperfect. And an injunction is an authoritative order, usually given by someone. In our culture, it's by a judge, which means someone of authority. Only a judge can give you an injunction. But we don't want to follow just any old injunction that someone says. In the purport, I think it's the introduction to Sri Shopanishad. He's describing, Srila Prabhupada is describing Vedic injunctions, and he says that in India, if you tell a person to do something, they'll say, "Is this a Vedic injunction? Do I need to do what you say?" And I just found that funny. So we don't want to just follow not all injunctions are created equal, right? For all the reasons that we just talked about. So we are accepting knowledge only from the highest authority. So we see the connection here. Hearing Vedas, Vedic injunctions. Krishna is the source of the Vedas, and Krishna is the thing to be known by the Vedas. So when we follow, so for example, you can go to a judge and get a temporary restraining order, which gives you an injunction that has an end date. When we follow temporary and material injunctions, right, there's endless amount of things that we can follow that we're told to do, should do this, do that, this, you'll get this result and the other. But when we follow a temporary and material injunction, we get a temporary and material result. When we follow an eternal spiritual injunction, we get an eternal spiritual result. When we follow a Vedic injunction, we get Krishna. So what does it mean for us to follow a Vedic injunction? What does that look like for me in my life? There's so many, you know, one can argue, there's so many rules, so many do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Oh my goodness. It can be a bit overwhelming. And how do we apply this to our lives in a way that is sustainable, in a way that is genuine, and in a way that is really purifying us and bringing us to the thing that we're actually trying to get to, which is Krishna, which is remembrance. So I have good news for all of you. There is only one thing to follow. There's only one set of injunctions that we have to follow, and they come in a pair. But when you do one, you automatically do the other one. So technically, we're down to one injunction, and especially for us, I see it. Andrea is really happy. We want we live in a culture where it's go, go, go. And, how can I be the most effective? And how can I get things done quickly and just move on with my day, right? I'm from the Northeast too. Yeah, we have someone's giving us the answer. So we want things quickly. Krishna consciousness is the most effective. Smartavya satatam vishnor vishmartavyo najas tuchit sarve vidhi nishedaha siyur etayor eva kinkaraha. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles. So vidhi is an injunction. Of all the injunctions, there's one that's supreme, and that's to always remember Krishna. And nishedaha is prohibition. Of all prohibitions, one is supreme. Do not forget Krishna. So you do one. If you remember Krishna, you're not forgetting him. And if you're not forgetting him, you're remembering him. So we're down to one injunction, nothing else to do. So in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada says that we should mold our lives to constantly remember Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. He says, this is Krishna consciousness. To remember Krishna is Krishna consciousness. And then he says, this is the most basic of all regulative principles. For when there is an order from a superior about doing something, there is simultaneously a prohibition. When the order is that one should always remember Krishna, the prohibition is that one should never forget him. And with this simple order and prohibition, all regulative principles are found complete. The regulative principle is applicable to all varnas and ashrams, the castes and occupations of life, no matter where we are, what our situation is, who we are. This applies to everyone. There's no pre-qualification needed. We just need to remember Krishna. He says the principle of remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly and not forgetting him at any moment is meant to be followed by everyone without fail. If this injunction is followed, then all other rules and regulations will automatically fall into line. All other rules and regulations should be treated as assistants or servants to this one basic principle. So when we are overwhelmed with instructions and rules and prohibitions, it's good for us to use this as the way to gauge the purpose of them, so that, not so that we can discard, but so that we can understand the essence of why we're doing something or why we're not doing something. Yeah, I was just thinking, my first thought as I said that was, anyone ever have trouble with those pesky regulative principles? This is why. This is this is the reason why we endeavor to live our lives in a certain way. And it's not easy in this world. The world is so alluring, and it's so enticing and intoxicating, and it's easy to get lost in it. And so we have anyone, whether it's in our tradition or any other tradition, anyone who is endeavoring to live a life of higher consciousness and to find that relationship with the Supreme Being is a very courageous person. And so I'm acknowledging that it's not easy. Our conditioning, our anartas, they run deep. They run deeper than we even know, because we probably couldn't handle it, right? It's why one of the reasons we don't remember our past lives. So it's not easy, but when we remember why, then it becomes tolerable. Oh, this is why I'm doing this. There's an essence to this. And when we find that essence is Krishna, and Krishna is all loving, and he's all joy, and he wants us to be joyful in the process of returning to him, not suffering to return to him. He doesn't want that. No person who loves us would want us to suffer. And he's no different. He's our closest friend. And we forget this. We forget
I'm sorry,
that
that was me. That was me. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say something.
Yes, please.
Every time I have a difficulty remaining joyful on my spiritual path, I remember Jamuna Jaya and her beautiful smile, and that helps me keep joyful on my spiritual path. So thank you, Jamuna Jaya, for that.
Oh,
And,
thank you, Nana Vihari.
Yeah, and then
Where is
also,
where
what
is
did you
she?
say?
I want to see your face, Prabhu. Where are you? Yamuna.
There she is.
Oh, there you are, Jai.
Right. Now we're all joyful on our spiritual path. Thank you, Jamuna Jaya. And my other point was that we remember the purpose of everything we're doing for Krishna. And that's one side. The other side, sometimes we remember the purpose and then we bypass everything else. We bypass our relationship with the devotees. We bypass our own families. We bypass our immediate services and just go to lofty realms. So that's also imbalance, right, Lila? Do I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back. Thank you for bringing that up. It goes back to this idea of the doctor, right? This you have this doctor who's helping people. I'll just use a doctor as an example. Someone who's helping people, or a lawyer, whatever it is. And we get so absorbed in what that duty is and the importance of it. And a lot of things are important in doing good works in this world. But if we neglect the things that are important, the things that are our foundation, then what is it for? What is it for? And we've heard this from Prabhupada disciples who have that wisdom to share with us. And I live in Gainesville, Florida. There's a lot of Prabhupada disciples here. I'm very, very fortunate to be around such amazing people. There's an abundance of devotees here. And this is one of the lessons, they'll say, we didn't know better. We neglected this and we neglected that. We neglected ourselves, our bodies. We didn't eat right. We didn't take care of ourselves. We neglected, sometimes there was neglect of family for the greater good. And in it, Srila Prabhupada would tell his disciples that their number one thing was to take care of their family. So this wasn't this wasn't that he was giving instruction to neglect. They just didn't hear it correctly. They didn't understand. They were very enthusiastic. We all get like that. I've been like that. We get very enthusiastic and fully absorbed. And then, yeah, it's like you said, we're getting to these realms where we're just like floating around, and something needs to ground us and bring us back to earth. So it's this balance.
Yeah, Prabhu, you're washing pots tonight. Oh, no, 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 no. I'm absorbed in Krishna Lila. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And so this is also one of the ways in we learn to do the needful, not what's comfortable, right? So it's both. We do have a responsibility to take care of our material life for many reasons. One, if we have family and friends and other devotees, and you know, we have to go to work and jobs and coworkers and society in general, we are the example of how to live a Krishna conscious life in this world. And so it means something how we show up in the world. So yes, I appreciate that point. And it's very easy. I used to feel bad, like, oh man, what's wrong with me? I'm so, you know, gung-ho about all these things, and I just can't sort it out, couldn't find that balance. But to hear, to like Ananda Bihari, you just mentioned that, it just so much relief, like, oh, okay, it's not just me, because it is, you do want to just get absorbed in Krishna consciousness and just, you know, sit around and read Bhagavatam all day and just listen to classes and not do anything, and do the services that we'd like to do. Oh, that's the best. Just the things that I only like to do this, and someone else should be doing these other things. No, Prabhu, this is my nature. I should be doing justice. But sometimes it's not like that, right? Parents are not always doing the things that they love. They're doing the things that they have to do. And so just gonna turn this, have the sun coming up. Okay, so injunctions. Oh, so we left off at there is one injunction. This is it. We are in maximum spiritual effectiveness. Just one injunction. Always remember Krishna. What does it mean to remember Krishna? Well, Krishna is, if I remember someone that is not here with me right now, let's say my brother, just remembering my brother, he's up north. I can remember him, but that doesn't bring him here. Maybe in my mind it's here. But Krishna's potency is different. Krishna is present in his holy name. He's present in his pastimes, so his Lilas, his qualities and his devotees. He's present in our Shastra. And so it's a bit different when we remember Krishna than when we remember something else. And so remember, he says, I am the source of remembrance, forgetfulness, and all knowledge. So he's with us in that memory. He's literally with us in that memory. And this is something that we can prove for ourselves. So I was thinking, not only is he with us, there's something else that's happening while he's with us. There's a purification mantra. If you've been to a yagya, or sometimes before deity service, or when you do some rituals in the morning, or whatever it is, that perfectly explains this. More good news. This is turning out to be an excellent morning full of great news. Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavashtam gato piva yasmaret pundara kakshimam sabhaya bhayantara suchi. Whether pure or impure, or in any condition, those who remember the lotus-eyed one become pure internally and externally. So to remember Krishna is to come into contact with him. And when we remember him, because he is all pure and he is the most purifying substance, then we become pure. And so in any condition, pure or impure, We don't have to start off with pure and then we get to Krishna. We can start off impure and then we can remember Krishna. And in that process, he's purifying us. He's purifying our lives. He's purifying our consciousness, and then everything that comes forward from that. It reminded me, I don't know if everyone will remember this, but E.T., where E.T. was, you know, that the finger, like, or the Sistine Chapel, where God, man is touching God, right? The finger. When we remember him, we're touching him. Our minds are touching him. Like, it just, let's sit with that for a second. We're touching Krishna. And so how do we remember him? How do we bring this memory? Well, everything around us can be used for remembering Krishna. He tells us in the Bhagavad Gita of his opulences, of his qualities, of his energies, even simple like earth, air, water, fire, ether, mind, ego, intelligence, all of these things. When you hear a good song, oh my goodness, that's Krishna's artistry. That talent that artists have, that's Krishna's. And in a minute, think of your favorite artist, and you're like, wow, I wish I were that artistic. I wish I'd been born with that. Or someone's intelligence, wow. Or a beautiful scenery. I went to an overlook around here the other day, and you see the sunset. It's incredible. You just see like this huge expanse of land and the sun is setting. Krishna is present in that. So there is no shortage of things through which we can remember Krishna. The devotees are bringing us the memory of Krishna. That's why they're priceless. They're gold. Treat your devotees around, any devotees around you, remember they are gold, or better than gold, priceless, the best thing in the three worlds. And let's remind each other to remember that and to act accordingly. I actually really just needed that that reminder. I forget. And that includes ourselves, right? Be compassionate to ourselves, not overindulgent, but compassionate. Wow, this person is trying. You're trying so hard. This is, you know, but I'm trying to remind myself. You're trying so hard. You really put in an effort. You know, yes, it's imperfect, it's flawed, but you're trying. And sometimes if we forget to remind ourselves of that and to see it in others, right? It's so easy to see, oh, I could do that better, or maybe you should do it like this, or why don't you do it like that? Brahmatirtha Prabhu was giving a class here at Bhakti Center, and he was saying, before you criticize someone, first give off 5 of their good qualities. So if you're going to spend the time criticizing, first 5 good qualities, then you can criticize. But by the time you get to 5 qualities, you're like, oh man, this person's great. I should be like this, right? And then we remember that there's a deeper truth than what our false ego is telling us. So we remember Krishna. There's nothing else to do but remember Krishna. So hey, I wake up in the morning, there's only one thing I need to do. I need to remember Krishna. I need to not forget him. And then everything else falls into place with this, like I mentioned, there's an abundance of things to do and things to get into and interesting things. And, you know, over here, that shiny thing over there, and that endeavor over there, and this scheme and whatever it is, if it fits, if it's following our Vedic injunctions, right? We're following the spiritual master. If it falls within our regulative principles, and if it's serving that ultimate injunction of always remember Krishna and never forget him, then I would say, yeah, we can go ahead with that. And then everything else just falls to the side because it doesn't fit into the paradigm of remembering Krishna. Okay, so we covered 3 things today. What is obedience? What does it mean to be obedient? What is a Vedic injunction? What does it mean for us to follow a Vedic injunction? And going back to the beginning of the many things that we can take from this verse, but one of them is, how do I offer service? What does it mean? You know, this devotional service is like every other word in what we read, what we speak about, but what does it really mean? And it means we hear and we follow. We already have the authority. We have Srila Prabhupada, we have the Parampara, but we hear and we follow. And so this is Yogamaya. Yes, sir. Yes, I hear you, and then I go and do it. Because my greatness, your greatness, it doesn't come from I did this or I did that or accomplished this or, you know, all of these things. It comes from our willingness and our ability to follow the orders of the Lord and the spiritual master. Like Prabhupada. This is the number 1 prime example that we have. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Look how they followed their instruction, going all the way back to Yogamaya, like that, right? Going back to Brahma. How we follow the orders of the spiritual master. That's where our greatness comes from. And so I pray every single day. I kid you not. I pray every day. Please let me be of some use. Please let me follow these orders, because without it, I am totally useless. And I'm not self-deprecating. I am completely useless. I'm distracted. I'm morose. I can't get it together. Like looking over here, looking over there. And I just pray. This is the only way that Krishna will empower us. He does. There's no doubt about it. We can see. But we have to actually want it. And let us all pray for that, for him to empower us, because he does. This is his promise. And we have examples. Prabhupada is the number 1 thing that we can follow. And he followed one order to take this knowledge to the West. One order. That was all he did. He followed that one thing. And then everything else that he did during his days were to serve that order. And he wasn't forgetting Krishna. So, okay, dear friends, I'll open it up to questions, comments, especially corrections. And I thank you all so very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Fantastic class. Really wonderful. Your spiritual master is empowering you. You know, the subject of obedience is very intense. You said, oh, obedience, it makes you, couldn't respond like I'm being restricted or controlled or manipulated. And there's a phrase I picked up listening to some children years ago. It was like 1974. These 2 kids were walking by, and they're having an argument about whether the clotheslines at New Vrindavan were better than the clotheslines in Dallas, right? In Dallas Gurukul. And one of them said, where does Prabhupada say that? Like, which is such a cool thing, Yeah, is that in Vedic injunction, like you were saying, is that actually something that is, you just didn't make that up, or did you hear it? So that's one thing, that's something that you are asked to do is something that's accurate and not just a concoction. And the other thing is, we surrender, Krishna says surrender, but we don't just surrender to a list of rules. We don't surrender to a building, we don't surrender to an institution. We surrender to a person on the basis of love and trust. That we actually ask Krishna, when the disciple is ready, the guru appears in our life. We ask Krishna, is there somebody who's worthy of my complete trust and obedience? That's what I want in my life. And sometimes people are asking questions. I said, could I ask you a question? Or maybe you could ask yourself this question. Do you want someone in your life who's worthy of your complete trust and obedience? And if you want that, Krishna will provide that. We just want to add how wonderful is Krishna, that he provides the guru, that he provides the devotees, that he provides these instructions and opportunities to obey. And then we choose who we're going to obey. And it's not just that they say anything and everything. You can walk into the drugstore and take any drug in any quantity at any frequency, or you can, consult with somebody who actually knows what they're doing, and it helps us to apply the principles of Krishna consciousness to our particular time and circumstance. Or maybe I'm speaking too much. Oh, glories to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. We love you.
Jai Prabhu, thank you so much. Those are beautiful, beautiful points. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, I think that this is what Prabhupada wanted us to do, is to be discerning, right, of what is being said, what we're hearing, and that's why he was very strict and just hear this as it is. Yeah, I appreciate that point. There is an overabundance of people that have ideas of how we should do things, and all of this, and this particular point of trust. Yeah, this is huge. It would seem like it's easy, at least for me. It's difficult because I forget. And I was thinking recently, here's this person, right? Like you said, we surrender to a person. There's a person behind all these injunctions. Here's a person who, by all evidence, has always been there for me, has given me everything that I needed. What maybe wasn't what I wanted, but it was what I needed, has always protected and guided and shown me the way. And because I'm remembering him, I know that he still got my back, right? He keeps saving me day after day. And then and how do I repay? With no trust, with suspicion, like, oh, I'm not sure if he's really going to be there. No, any friend would not like it if they've given you everything as far as friendship, and then I'm not trusting them. It's kind of, it's rude. So I'm not judging myself or us, but it's, yeah, he shows us. And so just taking a clear look at what he has done. And so that I've been kind of working on that for some time now. Just be clear. He's always there for me. What else what more proof do I need that this is my friend? And I'm always suffering as if no one's got my back. He's always got my back. The devotees always got my back. Thank you for reminding me of that. It's beautiful. Shikshastika Das Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. That last point that you made is so nice, because Krishna is so merciful. He is always there for us, even if we're in the worst condition, mired in bad habits. He's always so kind. And we have to be the same way for others. If we want to be a friend, we should pay back what Krishna has given us. So also, I like the point you were making that Krishna is always with us. I remember reading, before I became a devotee, I used to read Emerson. Emerson used to read the Vedas too. I think that's part of the reason why I got interested in the Vedas. But he said, God comes to us without bell. In other words, he's always there. And so all we have to do is, like you said, he's in the Shastra. I like to read. So perhaps that's my downfall, because that's what I like to do. And I'm kind of unemployed right now, and I've just been enjoying this pandemic, just reading all the time. But I should probably get out and start distributing books. Tomorrow is Gaur Purnima. It's a good way to, try to execute this order of the spiritual master on a holy day like that. I'm trying to invite all my friends to our program here in Pittsburgh. We're going to have an Abhishek ceremony. It's such a nice way to start the new year. I'll be 43 years old tomorrow, because I was initiated 43 years ago, and That's my age, and I'm sticking to it. So anyway, just what the point that you made about Prabhupada, we have to be the same way. Prabhupada said, if I have any, people used to compliment him about how all his wonderful devotees. And he said, if I have any credit to my name, it's only that I've tried to execute the order of my spiritual master. And so because he did that, that should serve as an inspiration. And so we have to pay him back by doing the same thing. So thank you very much for your wonderful class, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Happy birthday. Wow. Yeah, 43. Oh, you're muted.
I'm Jack Benny. Jack Benny said I'm always 33. But that shows my age too, because I know who Jack Benny is.
You're classic and eternal. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, beautiful point. Oh, yeah. To pray for the new year, that we're of some use, or at least for me, everyone hears of you. So I'm like trying to catch up to everyone else. Raja Lila Prabhu.
Haribol, my dear Lila. Thank you so much. Such a sweet class. Yeah, it's always so nice to hear this little sutra. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Something that you said so many things you said. However, one thing that caught my attention was Krishna is in our memories. Krishna is in the memory. Krishna says, never forget me. And he's in the memory. So I wanted you to elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's simple. Goes back to remembering that he's my friend. I think it's that, to remember where I come from, to remember where I'm going, and to remember that he's here. I don't think that, and this is just maybe just the small realization that I have on it, but I don't think that when I remember him, there's nothing else I need to remember. Whether someone says something that has now injured my false ego, and I remember Krishna, then I can just remember, oh, this is, puts things into perspective. Or whether there's some difficulty in life and I remember Krishna, it puts that into perspective. Oh, I'm here temporarily. Then I remember everything else that is needed in that moment. When I remember him, comes forth, whatever the response needs to be. And so if I see something beautiful, oh, I remember all of this comes from the source. Oh, I remember my source. And to just keep the objective in mind for me is that, because otherwise I get caught up in the temporary, in the material, and it's like someone shaking you, like, oh, okay, I'm here, I'm eternal. My purpose is to remember Krishna. My purpose is to help others remember Krishna. And yeah, it's a matter of putting things into perspective when we remember him. Most importantly, and this is what I'm still trying to find, is that when I remember him and I remember how great he is, or I remember that he's got my back when all the difficulties come, then hopefully I will remember one day that I love him. That's the ultimate thing. That's what I'm trying to remember. There's some attraction, like, oh yeah, this is cool. I've dedicated my life to it, and I will, as long as I'm allowed to. But I don't remember yet. I don't remember. And so I think that's it. The remembering who he is, that's where I come from, that's where I'm going. This is my friend. And I'm coming from there and I'm going from there because I love him and he loves me. Particularly that he loves me, that I forget too. I'm like, oh, whole world against me. Prabhu, Krishna loves you. Oh, okay. Are you sure? Yeah, he loves you. Oh, okay. And then, 10 minutes later, someone's reminding me again, you're okay. Krishna loves you. Oh, okay. So it's the love. Thank you for reminding me. You asked the question and I remembered. I'm so grateful. Oh, Hare Krishna. My dear friend Andrea.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. I love you so much. I just love that I get to speak after Raja Lila Prabhu, because my comment question is so related to what she just shared. First off, the whole idea of remembering Krishna reminded me of a class that I heard from Urmila Devi Dasi Prabhu, where she explained that the whole point of reading all these stories related to Krishna, reading, like immersing ourselves in all this kind of beautiful nectarian books and just everything, is just so that we have some way to connect everything that's going on in our life to Krishna at every moment. So if we are reading about Radha and Krishna having these sweet pastimes with bees and talking to bees or having something to do with bees, and then when we're walking along and we're almost buzzed by a bee, instead of being like, a bee, I'm so scared, you could be like, oh, I wonder if that bee, it has been talking to Radha and Krishna about their pastimes, or it reminds me of when Radha was talking about, like, the bee being like an unreliable servant of an unreliable master, and things like that. Exactly. Like, it just makes you so excited. And I love that reminder and having this practical approach. Lila Prabhu, thank you. Because we forget, we get so immersed in the philosophy, and we get so immersed in the, like you said, in the do's and don'ts and all these things. And we forget what is the essence, what is the purpose. The purpose is to use all these things to remember Krishna. And thank you, Brajalila Prabhu, for bringing in that extra point of, and to remember that I love him and that he loves me. Like, wow, right? Like, that's why we remember things about those that we love, like our friends. Why do we remember someone's birthday? Why do we remember their favorite color? So that we can have that loving relationship with them. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Andrea. An unreliable servant of an unreliable master. Thank you. That was so heartfelt and touching. That is another level of it, that, waking up the deities in the morning is the reminder of what's happening in the spiritual world. We're waking up Radha and Krishna. When the sun comes up, we're waking up Radha and Krishna. Like, and if that has ever come into the mind, like during the, the different times of the days are related to different pastimes of the day, it's so sweet, so sweet. But I need so much help in remembering those things, because, there's, the duties, the to-do list, the meetings, eating, sleeping, meeting, and defending. Always meeting. There's always a meeting going on. But there's also meetings going on in the spiritual world, right? That's the other level of it, to fall in, to drop in to what's happening there too. In any moment we can do that. In any moment we can step into Krishna's world. That's why the memory of him is not just any memory. Think about it. If he's saying, I am remembrance, whenever he says I am anything, it's like the ultimate of that thing. And so his remembrance of him can't be just any old remembrance. It just can't be. Wow, thank you, Andrea. That's so beautiful. Thank you. I'm so grateful for all of you. Eating, sleeping, meeting, and defending. Yeah, I didn't make that up, but Bhakti meetings. Yes, we need more Bhakti meetings. Those are the right kind of meetings. Angelica, thank you so much for posting the verse and giving us the injunction. Always remember Krishna. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavashtam gatopi va yasmarat pundarikaksham sabhaya vayantara suchi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Jai. Okay, thank you, dear friends. Are there any more comments or questions? Lila.
Yeah, I just want to share one little quick story about obedience and devotees, because you were talking about devotee association. So there's a letter, a short letter Bhakti Srila Radhanath Maharaj wrote to Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, and at the end of that letter, I have that letter posted in my house. It says, "I am your obedient." That is the mood of devotees. Like, we're always thinking we are obedient to each other. Now that really, it struck me so much that I have it, like I said, I have it here posted on my wall.
Oh, yes, that's such a beautiful reminder. I am your obedient. Yeah. I'm your servant. That's what we're supposed to be doing. I forget that too. Oh man. Yeah, thank you. I am your obedient.
Here in New York, they have at Times Square, you see this guy with this little table, and he's got 3 walnut shells. You ever see that? And he has a pea under one of the walnut shells.
Oh yeah.
And then he makes a bet with you that he can cover up the pea and switch the shells around. And then if you can guess where the pea is after he moves his hands very quickly, then you win some money, or he wins, you have to pay him money if you can't get the right. And so Yogamaya and Krishna is so amazing in this pastime. Poor Kamsa, he doesn't have a chance, right? First of all, he's bringing in all these personalities. Balaram's coming and Yogamaya's coming. And then, this one's going to that room and this one's going here and this. And he's just like switching everything around so quickly. Kamsa doesn't have a chance to make it. He's going to get smashed and tricked and because Krishna's smarter than everyone. Anyway, just reminded me.
I love that. That's so funny. I love that. Yes. As I was reading this, I was like, he's doing all these switcheroos, but it could be so simple for him to just do it one way, but he's fulfilling all these other things. Like, okay, you'll be transferred here so that this person can give birth, and like, it's just beautiful. Yeah, there's a humor to it. He's really funny guy. There's a humor to it. I hadn't thought of that.
How wonderful is Krishna? We say Adi Purusha means Krishna's the one who has the most fun. Right?
Yeah, the most fun. Oh, I love that. Thank you all very much, dear friends, for enlivening me and blessing me with your presence. I feel just so grateful. So grateful. Thank you so much. May you all have a beautiful day.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody. Srimad Bhagavatam, King of Books, Ki Jai.
Jai.
Lila Devi Prabhu, Ki Jai. Remembering Krishna, Ki Jai. Never forgetting Krishna, Ki Jai. Right.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.